Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leillui Nishmas Reb Yehosua. Today's shir Hayoim Shisha ve'esrim Yoim Shem Shloisha Shavuos ve'chamisha Yomim ba'Omer or La Omer. Inspired people are very, very nervous about this. Your grandfather used to say ba'Omer, by the way. Stam hara before he changed to Nusach Sfarad. Yeah. I mean, your great grandfather, you know what I'm talking about. Some say both. I just said both. Yeah. Leillui Nishmas, my father, Avraham Yitzchok ben Yaakov Zev, ALVIN LEW on his first Yarzheit. We love and miss you every day from the entire Lew family. Shlomo should have an aliyah. Leillui Nishmas Reb Yehosua ben Reb Shimon Dov, after Jeffrey Ben-Zvi upon his 8th Yarzheit by his son-in-law Yehuda. And by Shlomo, Miriam, Rosenzweig, Refuah Shelaima, for Shmuel, Yosef ben Devora, you should have a Refuah Shelaima. He's not here. What's going on with Kiva's hallway? How come he doesn't come anymore? What? This is from Rosenzweig, Stan Rosenzweig. Right? That was yep, he just sponsored. He sent me this email a few days ago, sending you a link to a lengthy conversation between the Rebbe, zchus and Yarzheit, zchus about Hakel. Sounds prophetic. That the Anikel is doing Hakel every day, learning the Daf with me included here in Toronto. My closest friend introduced you to me, needs Rachamim Rabin Refuah Shelaima. One of the guys from the Shir needs Refuah Shelaima. Please be masker him. Shmuel Yosef ben Devora. If you go on YouTube, you can see behind the Hakel campaign, and there's a whole conversation between the Rebbe and my grandfather. This is my grandfather, by the way, if anybody wants to know what he looks like. Tremendous Hadras Panim. Wrote 12 Svarim. All right. Here we got. Let's see. Here we go. This is from Shalom Ginsberg. I'm a Lubavitcher Chassid, at least I try to be, who grew up in Crown Heights. Talking about the Rebbe, I said we'll do some Lubavitch. Let's just say that we didn't grow up with Daf Yomi. Some people in my community near Monsey, where I live now, I've been speaking about your shir, and when I saw the advertisement on the website for free Arts for Gemara, I got suckered in. I work 12 plus hours a day, sometimes 5 days a week. I convinced myself that I don't have enough time in the day to learn anything, let alone Daf Yomi. There's a strong encouragement by the Lubavitcher Rebbe for learning Chitas, Chumash Tehillim Tanya, and Rambam that is split up by the days of the month and the week. I've not been keeping up with that either. Once the Arts World pulled me into the Daf Yomi, I told myself, what time in Lubavitcher does Daf Yomi without Chitas and Rambam? So here I am, 8 Dafim in, finding time to do it all. Your Daf Yomi share increases Torah learning more than you realize. You're making me a better chassid. I would encourage others to try these additional shiurim as well. I got another email just a few days ago. Maybe I'll read his email too. That it's helping him with chitas and everything. It helps Shnai Mikra. It helps Daf Yomi. This consistency. Oh, here it comes, Rabbi Sai. You think it's all good? Not bad. These Lubavitchers, schmack. As for if I'm bringing part of this email, it's nice to hear someone say how humble they are, and read flattering emails complimenting them incessantly. Meaning to the point of annoyance. So Baruch Hashem, thanks for stopping that in its tracks. Thank you very much for your hard work, and may you grow from strength to strength. Haroitze be'ilim shmoi. No, it's good things. Ilim Shem. He wouldn't be alive any longer if he did. Chassidim over there in Monsey, you never know. Bernie Liebtag, by the way, he's the head. They called him Bernie the Burn. Remember him? He's the one that started the whole hate mail. Long time ago, but he's a great guy. I actually should go visit him because he came to my house also and I wasn't available. He gave me a gift a long time. I have to go visit him. You raised the issue on Daf Ches. Why did they want to be the Kohen Gadol when they saw that it was the death sentence every year? New Kohen Gadol, because the Bnei Yissaschar explains in a positive way that even though these Kohen Gadol were Shayim, nevertheless it was because of their Chibas Avodas HaKodesh Yisrael. Afila Aloison She'enim Muganim Akach, says Bernie Liebtag. Okay, Shkoyach. And here, finally, we have Shmuel Vefer. He says he's out of town in a home where he's visiting, and there's a 60-inch 4K screen. So I hooked up my laptop, and boom, real life-size Eli. I felt like I was at the table in the shir with the chevra, kol tuv. It really looks like it. By the way, you got to behave. If you're on your phone, look at this. It's mamish like you're in there. You can zoom in if you want, Gary. You can pay attention, shtickle. So, you see it? Okay, good. All right, here we go. Today is Daf Yud Beis, and we are holding 6 lines from the bottom of Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. We just finished saying that a shul has the halachas of tzaras. If there's a nega tzaras on the wall, so then the kohen has to go through the whole procedure, and then you remove the stone. You don't. You come. You close the house. He comes again, checks it. The whole procedure. Is that true? That a shul has tzaras? I would think that such a thing is nega tzaras in a shul. It has to be his own. He has to own it. Shul, nobody owns the shul. Says the Gemara Leikashio. So we have 3 very simple tirutzim. We'll come back to it. So I just put it there for fun. One teretz says that a shul is chayv and mezuzah if it goes like Reb Meir. It goes like chacham, it's not chayv. Next teretz says, even according to chacham, say that it's not chayv, but it's a shul that has a room that the gabbai lives there. Or we can make an afkamina in a city. In a city, there's a lot of people, or not a city, in a kfar. We'll see. Zok the Gemara. First teretz is Hara Mehara Banan. Remeir holds a chayv mezuzah. The Sanya, Beis HaKnesses sheyesh ba dira lechazan HaKnesses. The shamish of the shul, the one in charge of the shul, would live in the actual shul. Chayv mezuzah. Then it becomes a private dwelling and it's chayv mezuzah. V'shein ba dira, but if it doesn't, it's just a regular shul, like this building. Let's say Remeir mechayv chachamim hoitrim. I saw an interesting ritva. What's the difference between a shul, let's say, and a house that has a partnership? They both have partners. So he says beautifully. Take, for instance, this building right here. What do we do here? We all come together to learn Torah. So it's a shtamshish of a tzibur. The usage is a tzibur usage. Whereas if a bunch of people own a property, this one uses it privately and this one uses it privately. They all own it together, but they use it in a private manner. Whereas a shul, it's a tzibur hishtamshish, and that's what's pattering them from a mezuzah. Says the Gemara. We could say another nafkamina. Havaha Rabbanon, both goes according to Rabbanon, that patter in a shul. Like very simple nafkamina. The difference between the 2 brises, one brise has a house above the shul, where the chazal is, therefore it's chayv mezuzah, the other one doesn't. There's no room over there. When it's a place where everybody comes from different places, so nobody owns it. It's ownerless. When it's a small little village, a bunch of guys got together, let's build a shul. So it's a partner. They own it. They own it together. Everybody understands. I own this. I put this. I donated that. So it's their own. And memela, they're chayv mezuzah. So in this chart, it should have probably said kfar, not krach. It's the idea of the difference between a krach and a kfar, but a kfar is chayv and a krach is bat. Says the Gemara, the krachim me'metamim ben agoy. So we're assuming that the idea of chiyuv mezuzah makes it a private house, and memela you're chay, then therefore the shul also could have tzaras. But a krach me'metamim ben agoy. So you tell me, in a city, a large place, there's a lot of people, there's no chiyuv mezuzah, and therefore there's no tzaras. But Tanya, achuzaschem metamim ben agoy. Your Yerusha, your metamim ben agoy. I have the pasuk here somewhere. Here. You see, it's a pasuk about tzaras. You own it because you own it. You have a Yerusha there. By the way, this Gary, this thing is red. So I don't know if that means that we have to change the battery now. Okay. First time it happened because we're using it a lot. We're using it for Yedidya, Reb Yedidya Kramer Shir at night. V'tam v'negoyim and Yerushalayim v'tam v'negoyim. So let's not change it now. Just give it to me, just in case it goes off in the middle. We'll have a quick change. Okay, so you see that only Yerushalayim is not metam ben goyim. Omer Rabbi Yehuda, ani lo shamati ela mekoyim migdash b'lvad. So we're inferring from it. Yerushalayim doesn't have negoyim. Where, says Rabbi Yehuda, in the Makom Migdash, where the Beis Hamikdash stands. But the Knesset is but the Midrash is metam ben goyim. Not true. It seems like all shuls, I don't care if they're private, public, in a city, not in a city, there is tzaras. Why are you telling me that if it's in a city, there's no tzaras? You know, every shul is a migdash ma'at. Mikudash, he's not talking about a Beis HaMikdash. He didn't mean Beis HaMikdash. He meant migdash, mikudash. That's what he meant. Any shul doesn't have tzaras. So Rashi explains here that David HaMelech bought the goyren, you know, where they put the wheat, from Aravno. And he bought it with all of Klal Yisrael's money. All the Shvatim gave.
Switch it quickly.
You want to switch it quickly?
Yeah, 'cause I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if you new guys know, one time I said that I enjoy a nice piece of marble cake. I lied. I really like 7-layer and all the other stuff. I said marble cake. A few days later, not exaggerating, from this guy Kraus in Borough Park, a box this size, massive. I was all excited. I was going to say, like, who knows what's in the smart? A whole thing of marble cake. So from then on, we're very careful. I blurted out Castel, but that's everybody knows. Don't buy me Castel. I have like 100 bottles. Baruch Hashem, we're good. For a while, we have 2004, 2005. Duracell, yeah. We're good. Baruch Hashem, we're good. I actually have a lot of Duracell at home. Listen to this. It's amazing, machlokes. We're learning great ideas here, things we didn't know about. Yerushalayim. All of Eretz Yisrael was divided evenly between all the Shvatim. What about Yerushalayim? It's unbelievable to understand this. If Yerushalayim was not divided equally, it's all of Klal Yisrael's. So I build a house, I live in Har Nof, whatever, I live in a house. And my buddy comes from Tzvat, he's Oile Regel. He could literally knock on my door, Shalom Aleichem, I'm here for a week. You move out of your bedroom, it's mine. Just like it's yours, it's mine. You can't do a thing. Unreal. So it's not achuzaschem. V'loi achuzaschem. It's not achuzaschem. Achuzaschem means it's yours, you own it, it's your Yerusha. No, it's all of Klal Yisrael's. And therefore what? No achuzaschem, no mezuzah, no tzaras. Reb Yehuda Sava Yerushalayim is chalkal l'shvatim. It's not true. It was divided up nicely. Oh, so we had this already in Kachim. We have to understand is that this is the Beis Hamikdash right over here. You see this, Gary? Okay. No, I need to zoom out a little bit. Okay. This is the line that we're talking about, basically. Right? Sorry. You see this Mizbeach right over here? This is the line. Everything east of the Mizbeach downwards is Yehuda. Everything above this almost is Binyamin. Besides, says the Gemara, Harabayis, all this stuff. The Harabayis. Halashachos. So if you look at the Lishka right here, you see how it protrudes outside a little bit? That's all his. This whole chayil, this whole area, the pink, all Yehuda. This box over here, Yehuda. Anything that's stuck out a little bit, up here, Yehuda. Up to this point. A little bit of it, Yehuda. Okay. Va'azarais. So here, down here, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you see. This is Ezra's Nashim. You have Ezra's Yisrael, Ezra's Kohanim. 1, 2, 3. This little piece, 11 Amma, right over here. So this line up to here, it's all Yehuda. What did Binyamin have? Ulam. This is the Ulam right here. This big, giant piece. 100 Amma tall, 200 feet tall. The Heichal. Everything in here. You have the Shulchan, the Mizbech HaKtoires, the Menorah. Ubeis Kodesh HaKadoshim. He had it all. Kodesh HaKadoshim right over here. the Aron here from this line, this piece right over here, Kodesh HaKodashim, the Aron, the holiest place on earth. Says the Gemara, Uretzua Haisa Yaitza Mechelka Shel Yehuda V'Nichneses Lechelka Shel Binyamin. So, I have two pictures here from two different Sfarim. If you want to see, one is different slightly. So, this is the line that we're talking about, this blue line, right over here. This is the blue line. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Yehuda a little bit more than he was supposed to get. He was supposed to get up until the blue line. He got a little bit more. You see in the red here, part of the Mizbeach right here. If you look in the Mizbeach here, you see there's a blue. Yeah? So if you see over here, there's a red strip. And you see on the Mizbeach, the base of the Mizbeach only had basically two sides. The blue. Over here it's missing. And over here it's missing. Why? Because that's in the chelik of Yehuda. So once again, everything in red is Yehuda. So the whole ramp, the kevesh, is in Yehuda. Up to here, all this is Yehuda. That's one picture. If you want to see it in the color, that was the Mesifta. The Kol HaLashon did it also a little differently. I wasn't sure what would be easier to see. Here, they did it in blue. Everything in blue is Yehuda. This should have been the line. I added this red line and the blue line in the other picture. This should have been where the border is, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them a little bit extra over here and over here. Great. That's one pshat. We're not going to go into the other pshat. One pshat is a ritzua, just a little bit right over here. That's another. Rashi and Megillah says, tiny bit. Okay. Uba hoya mizbeach banui. Not really the mizbeach. Ritzua isi yoytza mechalgash Yehuda v'nechaz l'chalgash Binyamin uba hoya mizbeach banui. Are they on strike? What's going on here? Nachman Seltzer, Noam Fix, Avi Kamiansky, all of them. I know. He's on the plane. He's coming back. A little bit of Mizbeach was there. The Kevesh, like we said, this part was in Yehuda. Ubinyamin HaTzadik. Does anybody know why he's called Binyamin HaTzadik? The famous Gemara. There's only 4 people in this world that died Be'et Yeshel Nachash because they had no reason to die. They were pure. One of them is Binyamin. Who are the other ones? Very good. Father of David. Oh, you said the hardest one. Kilov, the son, the Kail guy. Leibi. You have Nachas, David, Bernard, Shalom Aleichem. Kilov, the son of David. And who else? Oh, very good. Dr. Epstein. Moshe's father, Amram. So anyways, Binyamin was one of the 4. One of the 4. So Binyamin HaTzadik, he's called HaTzadik, he's pure. He would sit and cry. Why don't I get it? Well, the Misabilish wasn't came yet, but he would cry. I can't believe I don't have that peace. Shenemar choifef olav kol hayoim. Choifef in Hebrew today, in modern day Hebrew, lachfaf means like to shampoo your head. Means like to scratch your head. Rashi says he would scratch his head. He was always bitzar, like go like this, like a person that's bitzar, like oi, I don't have that peace. So I had a shaila here, but based on my shaila, I have a yahrzeit. It's not so nice. I mean, it's like the epitome of kina. Kina means not only do I like that guy's car, but I don't want him to have that car. I want his car and not that he should have it. Yehuda, Binyamin, he has everything. He has Kodesh HaKodashim. He has everything. He cares that much that the ramp of the Mizbeach is in Yehuda. Let him have it. No. You see, Yisrael L'chaira, that when it comes to Ruchnius, you're not supposed to be a nice guy. You're supposed to be nice up until Ruchnius. For instance, I'll give you a marshal. The other day, somebody was telling me, I said, where are you going? I saw a guy leaving Shachar. He said, I have to take so-and-so to the airport. I said, the Daf? What's with the Daf? Chesed. When it comes to Ruchnius, when it comes to your own learning, your steiging, sometimes you have to say no. You have to switch your mindset because we're so used to doing chesed and helping others. You have to be selfish when it comes to Ruchnius. You have to know when and how, but you have to be selfish. So I said this to somebody yesterday. I told the Talmud Chacham, and he said, your kash is in the Marsha. He showed him the Marsha and Zbachim. And the Marsha ruins my pshat. The Marsha says that Binyamin was not upset that he didn't have that piece. He was upset that the Mizbech wasn't whole. According to that one pshat, that it's missing this piece, it's like he was davening that it should be whole. And even if this piece was in there, according to one man, it didn't have the Kedusha of the Mizbech, because it was in Chelik Binyamin, Yehuda. All right. That's why the Arayin is in the Chelik of Binyamin because of this Midah Keneged Midah. He was so concerned about the Ruchnius and doing it in the proper way. HaKadosh Baruch Hu paid him. Mizbeach cries. Levi Friedman says, it says that the Mizbeach cries. He says a nice pshat. Why? Why is it? Because it's owned by two different people, two different shvatim, and it's separate. So that's why it cries. Very nice. Shenemar ubein keseifav shachein. Right? The famous pasuk. Laying it over and over. So we'll start ubein keseifav shachein. So, first of all, there's a simple question here from the Vilna Gaon, a beautiful question that has to be addressed. It says, Binyamin cried, and that's why he got the Aron in his chaylik. Well, the first day that the Beis HaMikdash existed, where was the Aron? Wasn't the Aron right here, always? So, at what point did Hashem say, oh, you cried, so I'm going to put it back in the Kodesh HaKodashim? It was always in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So he says, it's referring to before that, Shiloi, Noiv, and Givain. That's where, okay, fine. But I saw a beautiful, beautiful Medrash Tanchuma. Medrash Tanchuma says that when the Shvatim realized that Binyamin stole the Becher, the silver Becher, when they found it in his Amtachta, so they started beating him up. They hit him between his shoulders, it says. They took a whip and they started whipping him. And they said, you're a Ganav, the son of a Ganav, Ganavta. Your mother was a Ganav, she stole the Getchkes, you're a Ganav also. Who didn't hit Binyamin? One person didn't, well, Yosef wasn't there. One of the Shvatim didn't hit, and that was Yehuda. Because Yehuda was an Arav. He had to get him back in one piece. So he didn't hit him. So says the Medrash, that's why Yehuda was zoche to a Refuah. That's what the Gemara says. A Refuah, a little piece, because he didn't hit him. And Binyamin was zoche, it's unbelievable you say this over here. Binyamin was zoche to the whole Kodesh HaKodashim and everything in his chaylik. So you see from this, unbelievable. First of all, a person gets a zetz. We all get zetzim every day. You get a zetz, it has ramifications somewhere else that you don't even know, you can't even dream about. Thousands of years later, he gets this whole thing in his chaylik because he got beat up. We all get beat up, different ways. You get different zchusim. And the person that was shaisik, the person that wasn't involved, he also gets something. He gets a piece. Says Ramelech Biderman, maybe that was his nikud at the end, but he says that Binyamin, from the fact that he cried, what was his vart? I forgot his vart. Something to do with him crying that's what he says. Ramelech Biderman says that Binyamin was crying, Chaval, they didn't beat me more. Bank Seifov, and he learns the Medrash says, Bank Seifov means that's where he got hit between his shoulders. That's what he was crying. Halavai, they should have given me one more zetz. You would have given me one more zetz, then I would have had everything. It's chaval. That's what he says. All right. Zog the Gemara. Other Tana holds Yerushalayim not. There's no chalukah. The sanya ein maskir batim Yerushalayim. You cannot rent out for the oiler regalim that come to Yerushalayim. You can't rent them a room. It's not yours to rent. Who are you? It's all of Klal Yisrael's. Levisheinu shalahem. Rebbe Lazar, Bar Tzadok, or whatever the girsa is, Bar Shimon, Omer af loi mitois. You can't even rent out a cot to them and say, okay, here's a bed, 5 shekel a night. It's not your place. You had no right to put the bed there. Who are you to put a bed? It's not even your hotel. Who told you could have it? However, Rashi points out in this, remember, this is how you differentiate yourself from the other guy that doesn't learn the daf. There's something called Shalmi Chagiga and Shalmi Simcha. These are korbanos that you bring on Yom Tovim. Shalmi Simcha, remember that. So you get the hides. The one bringing it gets the hide. The hide he has to give to the guy that gave him a room. Omer Abayo, Shmamino, Oirach Ara. It's derech eretz. It's manners. Lemishbach inish gulfa. You should leave your cup there, your jug. Umashcha lushpize. So it says here that he's supposed to take it. He takes it. Lemishbach. Why? We enforce it. It's not just a tip. Some places you go to a restaurant, you give a tip. Some places they force it. They don't even ask you. They put the 20% on your bill and what just happened? Yeah, and then you by mistake give another 20%. Okay, forget. When you force a guy to give a tip, then the homeowner is going to work better. He knows he's getting paid. He knows he's going to get his nice jug at the end, his nice piece of hide, his leather. So maybe he's going to work better. That's how the Ritva explains. You're telling me one afkamina was over here. We had the difference between a krach and a kfar, and in a kfar where it's more of a private, it's a village. So you chayv a mezuzah, and the shul has tzaratz. Eretz Yisrael has to be conquered. Not only conquered, you have to give it out to all the shvatim. Even within the shevet. The bottom line is you have to get, each person has to get their piece. If you didn't get to the individual, you gave it to the shevet, or even you gave it to the Beis Av, the family. You don't even know which house is yours, what apartment is yours. How do you know there's no negoim, there's no mezuzah, minayin, tamaloymar, ubasha, loy abayis? Has to be his, mishum yuchad loy, yatzu elu, shem yuchadim loy. So, shul, that's not miyuchad loy, it's not yours specifically, there shouldn't be a mezuzah. So why are you telling me that in a kfar, in a village, you're mechuyev in a mezuzah, it's not yours? Elo, machvarto, kidishanina mikara. So we have to go back to these two pshatim right away. That's why I put it here, really. That the nafkamina is either we go like Remeir, he holds you chayv and mezuzah, or you're going to say that's talking about a shul that has a room in it, and that's why you chayv and mezuzah. Otherwise, what? Otherwise, it's not yours. It's not miyuchad. It's a shul. It's not. So a typical shul, according to this, wouldn't be chayiv in a mezuzah unless it has a room. As we were talking about mezuzah last night, we noticed that the kitchen here doesn't have mezuzah. Why? Because again, it's no one's. Everybody comes in and out. It's the tzibur. Everybody okay, doesn't have mezuzah. Don't go in there. It's not 4x4 amas. So maybe we'll put up a mezuzah without a bracha. Okay. Umaskin loy koyin acher. Pshita says the Gemara, "Ei Rabbi Apostle koydim tamid shel shachar." Okay. So we said in the Mishnah that we have to designate another kohen gadol that could step in just in case kohen gadol number one has some sort of psul, let's say a carry, whatever it is, or let's say a zaf spit at him, comes tummy, move him to the side, and in steps the designated kohen. Says the Gemara like this: we need to understand how does a kohen gadol become a kohen gadol. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm a kohen gadol, shalom aleichem." You have to do something. Typically, there's a meshicha. You anoint him with oil. What exactly is the process? So the Gemara gives us a few ideas here. If he steps in before the Tamid. Every day we bring a Tamid in the morning and a Tamid in the afternoon. If it's before the Tamid, so let it be Makar the Tamid. That will anoint him and make him a Kohen Gadol. Okay, he'll do it like that. What if he steps in at 9 o'clock in the morning? What should he do now? He doesn't have a carbon. How does he become a Kohen Gadol? Just saying, pointing at him, doesn't make him a Kohen Gadol. You give him the belt. So, there's a special belt. He's different than everybody else. You give him a belt. Now, we have to understand what kind of belt are you giving him. If the belt is exactly that of a kohen hedyot, of an ordinary kohen, so he was a kohen hedyot before he's a kohen hedyot now. Why is he special? It has to be a special belt. Says the Gemara, now one thing is clear. A kohen gadol all year round wears something, I don't know if this is the right color, but for visualization purposes only, they made it like a red. This is a shatnez belt. It has wool, it has linen, shatnez. All year round, the kohen gadol, with the shmoyne begadim, wears a shatnez belt. On Yom Kippur, it's clear that he wears a white belt. Because on Yom Kippur, when he's doing the avodas, performing the real avodas, he takes off all the shmoyne begadim. He's dressed in white. And he has a white belt. That we know for a fact. Unlike this kohen hedyot that's wearing a shatnez belt, in this picture, we don't know yet if he does or doesn't, but in this picture he's wearing the kohen gadol Yom Kippur does not look like this. He wears a white on white. He's all white. Yom Kippur, think of it as pure white. So if all year round the kohen gadol wears shatnez, and Yom Kippur he wears the linen. So then everything is great. If all year round the kohen wears this color, so now Yom Kippur the kohen gadol is different than a kohen hedyot. He's wearing white. He's wearing the white belt on white clothing. So everybody sees, he's a kohen gadol. A kohen hedyot wears, let's say, a red belt. And he's a new kohen gadol stepping in, and we're trying to anoint him, so we put him a white belt. Everybody says, he's a kohen gadol. But everybody understands that during the year, the kohen gadol wears red. And during the year, the kohen hedyot, according to this man, wears white. So what is this kohen gadol doing different than a kohen hedyot during the year? They give him a white belt. Shkoyach. He's a kohen hedyot. It looks exactly like kohen hedyot. He's wearing white with a white belt. He's a kohen hedyot, according to that man, Omer. So how did he become a chunuch? Michael Meimar. Omer Abaya. Loivesh shmoina umahapech b'tzinoira. You're right. He has to wear his shmoina begadim. Here's a picture from the Kol HaShon. No, this is from Mesivta. Mapech b'tzinoira means he takes a fork and he flips the meat over. Like on a grill. So he makes it well done. Huh? That was the best sound ever. Okay, now it's a classic. It's a 1-second classic. Nobody knows what it is. I'm a professional at it because when my kids used to misbehave, I was like one of those fathers. Those guys that they tell you in the chinuch class, don't do that. So I was like to my kids, zchus predicting me. I go, like a little bit more Gehenna you're gonna get. That was my everybody's like, okay, awkward, terrible chinuch. I know. That's why my kids came out there. Yeah. Okay. All right. No, I used to do it specifically for my daughter, and she's Layla. All right. B'tzinoira k'd Rav Huna. Dam Rav Huna zor shibach b'tzinoira chayav misa. So this tzinoira, to flip it, could you flip it on Yom Kippur? Yes, it's part of the avodah, but it's not a chiyuv in the avodah. It's a mitzvah. If you want to do it, or you want to move the process along with the meat, with the steaks for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, go ahead. You're not mechuyev to, but it's mutter on Yom Kippur. In fact, if a zar does it, if just an ordinary kohen comes around with his, or a Yisrael comes and flips it over, he's chayiv misa because it's part of the avodah. Now we're turning to Daf Yomi Beis. Another pshat. How does this kohen gadol become a kohen gadol? What happened? Now, what about the oil? Rashi. What about the Taiz Yishanim, I think? What about the oil? Anointed with oil. So that we learned in Shkalim, if you remember. Yoshio buried the oil. Remember? We just learned in Shkalim a few weeks ago. No, what's the simon, Levi? So he buried a bunch of things. He buried the Aron, to remind you, the Aron, the Man, because he saw that the Goyim are coming. And he didn't want them to get a hold of it, so he buried it all. So there's no Moshe in a Mishkan by Sheni for after Yoshio. So Memelo, we can't do that. What? Lishkas HaEitzim, says Jonathan Stefansky. Correct. Well, yeah, that's why they used to bow there. That whole sugya, yeah. Okay, sponsor. Turning of the daf, sponsored by Yaakov Badr and Stephen Sokolov. Zchus for Yaakov's daughter, Dina Tamar, Bas, Esther Rivka. And for Shidduch, for Sarlino, Bas, Goldaleo. And I just got an email from the father now. We'll read it, Beis Hashem. From Shidduch for Shein Rachel, Bas, Avraham Tzvi. Says Rav Papa, you know what? We don't need a special oil. We don't need a fork. We don't need anything. When he starts the avodah, that makes him a kohen gadol. Why? We said a kli. The first time ever when Moshe Rabbeinu made a kli for the Beis Hamikdash, he anointed it with oil. From there on, if they made a special kli for the Beis Hamikdash, let's say they needed another one, a new one, got ruined. There's no oil left. They didn't do it with oil. You pour some flour into the kli, it serves as a kli for the Beis Hamikdash. Poof, it becomes kaddish. So too, let's take that idea and use it for kohen gadol. He performs the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. He becomes a kohen gadol. He also have Dimi Omer. Rebbe, Reb Elazar, Reb Shimon. We have a machlokes. What color did the kohen hedyot, a regular kohen, ordinary kohen, what color was his belt? Chadam Ashaklayim, like this picture, it was a different color. The Chadam Ashal boots, It was made out of flax. It's linen. Excuse me. Stayim, the Rebbe who the Omer sheklayim. Have a good raya. The Rebbe is the one that says it's this colorful one. The sanyo ain't ben kohen gadol lekohen hedyoit elo avnei divi Rebbe. So this is one of these. It's a riddle. It says a line. There's no difference between a kohen gadol and kohen hedyoit. One difference: his belt. Now, if you just read that line, you start asking questions. What do you mean? What, a kohen hedyoit wears a tzitz? Kohen hedyoit wears a chayshin? What do you mean? There's no difference. Only a belt. So Mela, because it's a riddle, so we understand that it's not talking about on a regular day of the year. It must be talking about a day that there's no tzitz, there's no chayshin. What day of the year is that? Yom Kippur. And on Yom Kippur, there's only one difference: the color of the belt. So Memela, that means that all year round the kohen hedyoit wears shatnas, and the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur wears the flax. Ein ben kohen gadol kohen hedyoit elo avnei. If he's performing avodah, says Rashi, what kind of avodah? But ordinary kohen on Yom Kippur is going to be wearing this red belt, and the kohen gadol is going to be wearing the white belt. Divri Rebbe. Reb Shimon Omer af loy avnei. No, there's no difference at all. They're all wearing white. Emas. So now the Gemara just goes through the cheshbon of the riddle. We're talking about every day of the year. There's many differences. Kohen gadol mishamish b'shmoina behadi b'arba. Kohen gadol has shmoina b'gadol. Regular kohen only 4. El lav Yom Kippurim. So we're talking about Yom Kippur. Says Gemara Amri loy. No, not a good raya. Loy lam. The riddle goes like this. B'shayim ma'isashana. We're talking about every day of the year. But ubahanach the shavim. When you have to compare apples to apples. So in the apples to apples, if you're going to take the kohen hedyoit in his white clothing and the kohen gadol in his white clothing, the 4 things that are white on the kohen gadol during the year, what is the difference? The only difference is the belt, because the kohen gadol also wears trousers, and the you see he's wearing white. You can see underneath white. He's also wearing the turban, and 1, 2, and the belt. So the belt is the 4 things. So is that different or not different? Comes Rav and says everybody agrees that the Avnei the Kohen Gadol is white. It's made out of linen. Everybody and everybody agrees, like we said in Rebbe. There's no machlokes. It's this color right over here. Call it red. I'm not sure it's red, but just to be different. The whole machlokes is, what does an ordinary kohen wear? What color is his belt? What is it made out of? Is it shatnez? Very interesting that Simcha Sassim pointed out to me yesterday, but then I realized he said, in general, he showed me a medrash that why is there an isser on shatnez? This is shatnez because the first murder in the world between Cain and Hevel was sort of shatnez, because he brought from the fruits of the land, and he brought the sheep, so that caused the murder. So Melo, you don't put those 2 things together. So I pointed out to him, also very interesting, that where did the murder happen? It happened right there in the Beis Hamikdash, in Har Beis, because that's where they brought the karbanos. Cain and Hevel brought their carbon on right over here. Other Marishon, right over here. Noach, right over here. Yitzchok, that Keder, right over here. It all happened here, on Har Beis by Kodesh HaKadoshim. So I don't know. I'm not a rebbe or anything, but maybe that's why they wear shatnez. They could wear shatnez, like to forgive, to make a kapara kind of thing. That I'm mixing what he said, and I'm saying, okay, fine, great. Ayin Sham in his pshat. Rebbe Omer shel Klayim, Rebbe Lozer, Reb Shimon Omer shel Bot. Omer Reb Nachman. Omer Reb Nachman Yitzchok. Avanana mitanino al besaroi. So here's the pasuk. Oh, no pasuk today. I forgot to print it. Let me just make sure, because sometimes it hides. No pasuk. Okay, chaval. Okay, so it says in the beginning of the pasuk, maybe it has here. Oh, it does. V'lavash hakoyin. Word number 1 in the pasuk, v'lavash. Then in the middle of the pasuk it says, let's read the pasuk. V'lavash hakoyin midoy bad u'michnesei bad yilbash al psaroi. Ask the Gemara if it already says v'lavash and he should wear. So why does it have to say that yilbash? It's on his basar. It should say v'lavash hakoyim midoy badu michnas ibad al basarai. It's a beautiful kasha. It's not the word yilbash is extra. It already says that he's wearing it. But what does it say in the pasuk? What should he wear? Two clothing. Midoy bad, the ksainas, umichnas ibad, and the trousers. 2 out of the 4 are mentioned. What happened to the other 2? What about the avneit? What about his hat? So, there's a mitzvah called Trumas Hadeshen. Not the greatest, but I pulled that out from a different Masechta. It's a beautiful thing that every single day the kohen would take a shovel, go up here from this tapuach, and you take some of the ashes, bring it down, and put it right over here. Let's see if there's a place here. Right here, this square. What's beautiful about this square is that it was a nace every single day. It would be swallowed up by the ground. You'd put it there, went in. Not to be confused with Hoitza'as Hadeshen. Hoitza'as Hadeshen is when this filled up, and we had the other day, when in Shkolim, Guzma, 300 refrigerators worth of ashes. Remember, 300 tzah. But once in a while, they'll take the ashes out of the Beis HaMikdash completely, put it in the Makam Hadeshen. So it's Hoitza'as Hadeshen, Makam Hadeshen. And over here you have the Beis Hadeshen, which was Trumas Hadeshen. Okay? Trumas Hadeshen is every day. You take a little bit of Truma, so to speak, a little amount, put it over here in the Beis Hadeshen, and it goes into the ground. Hoitza'as Hadeshen is when we clean up the Mizbeach and we take it out outside. Not, okay, fine. So when the Kohen takes out the little bit and puts it on the Beis Hadeshen over here, he should wear his begadim, all 4. But the pasuk only says 2 out of the 4. The extra word Yilbash tells me, just like in somewhere else, it says that he's wearing all 4, and Yilbash from Mela over here also, it's all 4. Divrei Reb Yehuda. Reb Yehosua Omer lahavi. Big day Kohen Gadol b'Yom Kippurim shem ksherim lekohen hadiyot. The clothing of the Kohen Gadol, when he's done, Kohen Hadi can wear it. Rebbe Omer shtei shubas b'davar. Not true. I, Rebbe, hold that it's different. That he's wearing a different color. That he's wearing white, and everybody during the year is wearing the shatnez, and Mameli cannot use the begadim of the Kohen Gadol. Second of all, so he asks a great kasha. Kohen Gadol went into Kodesh HaKadoshim with it. You're going to let a Kohen Hedi do something less? We always go up, we step it up. Okay. The Taz says, halacha, and they ask a question from this Gemara. He says, when do we say this idea of Gedusha Kala, Gedusha Chamura? Only when you could still use the item. But if you can't use the item, for instance, Aron Kodesh, that you have too many Sefer Torah, now what do I do with it? Move it to the side, put a shas in there. That's what the Taz paskins. But they ask from this Gemara, it seems like not like that. Even though there's no more use for it, because the Kohen Gadol, you can't use it next year. Nevertheless, you shouldn't give it to another Kohen. Says the Gemara. So why does the Torah say Yilbash? To teach us that worn out begadim are mutter to use, just not torn. You take the clothing after the Kohen Gadol is finished, you bury it. Nobody gets to use it. That's true. There's no mitzvah to bury it. There's a mitzvah not to use it again. Next year, don't use it. But a kohen hadiyot could use it. It's the same color. Let him use it. Tana Rabbanan. Let's do 2 minutes. Tana Rabbanan. Hey, Rabbi Psul. So it happened. We just said you designate another kohen gadol just in case. So what happens if indeed we had to use the second guy, and then the first one, you have the gadol adar, you have Shimon Atzadik, whatever kohen gadol, he has to carry something. They move him to the side. They put the guy the next. But then Shimon Kohen goes into the mikveh, he's pure. So what? The second in command should stay there? He's no longer vice president. The president came back to life. He's out of the hospital. What do we do now? The first one goes right back to where he started. Sheni, kol mitzvahs. So one man says, the second one, kol mitzvahs kuna gdoila alav. There's a whole bunch of mitzvahs that a kohen gadol has. For instance, prima, he can't let his hair grow long. Like an oval. He can't rip his clothes in avelos. He can't become tamei to one of his close kroivim. What else? He has to wear shmona begadim. So the kohen had, you imagine, The second Kohen Gadol, there's two Kohen Gadol running around in the Beis Hamikdash with all the thing. You look at what's going on here, you see double. Guys, with the Chayshin, the Ephod, the whole thing. Why two? Because he stepped in one time, so now he's like, the Rabbi Rashi with the whole thing. He gets to keep it forever. Great. That's the Meir. Rabbi Yosef Omer, Rishon Choyzel Avedasoi, Sheni, Einoi, Roi, Loi Lekoin Gadol, Loi Lekoin Hediot. Zero. Rabbi Yosef says nothing. Not only that, he cannot even be a Kohen Hediot. He can't perform the avoid of an ordinary Kohen. Why? Because you go up in Kedusha, you don't go down. Omer Rabbi Yosef, Ma'aseh Yosef ben Elim. It actually happened once in history that someone had to step in. His name was Yosef ben Elim. He stepped in. Everybody psul b'Kohen Gadol. The real Kohen Gadol stepped away. Uminu tachtav, and he stepped in. Baruch Chachamim Rishon Choyzel Avedasoi Sheni Einoi Roi Loi Lekohen Gadol Veloi Lekohen Hediot. We'll just finish this one thing. Kohen Gadol Mishum Eva, because there'll be sin over there. What are you doing with my? That's the sign we have to finish the shir. Kohen Hediot Mishum Malim BaKodesh V'Lemirion. Again, he cannot be a Kohen Gadol because understand the hatred. Imagine another Maggid Shir sitting right next to me, another Daf Yomi guy. He says, Kina. And he cannot be a Kohen Hediot. Why? You go up in Kedusha, you don't go down. Rabbis have a wonderful Shabbos, a wonderful day, and Motzei Shabbos at 9:30 again. Sharp. Shir Amalois, no Shir Amalois. Shir Amalois, Ma'am Kim Yosicha Dinoi. Adelesh Ma'am Kali Dinoi, Kashem Zikot Akunoi. Ima Boinoi Tishmoy Adele Me'amoi. He's telling us all now to Nashila Dinim Shemula Boyke, Shemula Boyke. Hajla Dinim Khasa Bibdos. With days, some clavin is a vacuum of this one and some Shivam. So, what you have to do? Bagalos man called Leillui Shabbos. What's going on, Tzaddik? Good Shabbos for Bernard. Say hello to your son. Here, come here, Leillui. You want to say hello to him? Oh, I have to turn this on, but it could be he sees you anyway. Yeah. Yes. Oh, there you go. You see that?
Other stuff on the side comes and goes.
Shkoyach. He needs to go to school? Oh, yeah, what's your question?
Where you said that the Mizrach was only by Yehuda and Miriam.
Yeah.
And the Mizrach was made for peace, but if it was made for two and Benjamin used to cry from it, so it wasn't as...
No, it's still peace. Still peace. Who said it was made for peace? Who told you that? Who told?
Was. Every time I used to bring up the window.
It should be on both, on peace. But what, they needed peace? Okay. Well, even though it's peace, but I don't know. I didn't see the sugi yet. Don't know.